In 1450 BC, the most powerful navy in the ancient world disappeared, and no one can find a single shipwreck, a single war fleet, a single carving of a warship to prove it fought a battle at all. You were never taught this. There's a reason. The reason is stranger than the disaster that ended it. Here's what you do know if you know anything: Crete. The Minoans, bulls, frescoes, labyrinths. A Bronze Age civilization that peaked around 2000 BC and controlled trade across the entire Aegean Sea. Historians have a name for what they had: thalassocracy, sea power, rule of the waves. The Greek historian Thucydides, writing centuries later, said King Minos built the first navy in history and policed the seas with it. That's the claim. A Cretan empire ruling by force of ships, before Athens, before Rome, before anyone. Simple enough. Except archaeologists went looking for that navy. And they found almost nothing. No shipyards, no dry docks, no mass graves of drowned marines, no wrecked hulls of war galleys on the seafloor near Crete despite decades of diving. Compare that to Crete's palaces: Knossos, Phaistos, Malia, sprawling, wealthy, covered in frescoes of dolphins, ships, processions. Beautiful ships, cargo ships, trading ships. Not one image of a warship ramming another. Not one carving of a naval battle. A civilization credited with the world's first navy left behind a mountain of art, and in all of it there is no war. And here's where it gets stranger. The palaces themselves had no walls. None. Every other Bronze Age power, Mycenae, Troy, the Hittites, built fortresses with stone walls 20 feet thick, designed to survive siege. Crete built open palaces with wide, unguarded staircases and airy courtyards, like nobody was ever coming to hurt them. For 400 years. In an age when every neighbor was arming for war, one island didn't bother. Either they were suicidally confident, or something was protecting them that had nothing to do with soldiers. But here's what doesn't add up if you take the Minos built a navy and enforced its story at face value. If Crete ruled the Aegean through military force, there should be evidence of resistance: burned coastal towns, conquered rivals, tribute lists extracted at sword point. There's almost none of that either. What there is instead is trade. Minoan pottery in Egypt. Minoan frescoes in Israel and Turkey, painted by Cretan artists working abroad. Minoan weights and measures showing up in foreign ports. That's not what a conquered network looks like. That's what a network held together by something else entirely looks like. And once you notice that, the first navy in history, ruling by force story starts to fall apart in your hands. So why did the story survive anyway, taught for 100 years as fact? Because the version that got buried was worse for the people writing the history books. If Crete's power came from ships that never needed to fight, if their reach came from trade routes, shared religion, and economic dependency instead of conquest, then the entire foundation of civilization equals military force collapses. Western history was built, brick by brick, on the idea that power comes from the sword. Greek phalanxes, Roman legions, empires that conquer or die. A 400-year superpower that ruled without walls, without a war fleet, without a single recorded battle doesn't fit that story. It undermines it. So it got flattened into something familiar: Minos, the navy, the first thalassocracy, because they ruled by controlling wealth and belief, was too foreign a concept, and possibly too dangerous a precedent to teach straight. And there's the other half of it. When the Mycenaeans, the Greeks who came after, took over Crete around 1450 BC, following the eruption at Thera and a mysterious collapse of Minoan power, they inherited the palaces, the writing system, the trade routes. And they were the ones who told the story afterward. Conquerors tend to write their predecessors as either savage or as fellow warlords, rarely as something they couldn't replicate. If that's true, everything built on top of this, every textbook line about the birth of naval warfare, every assumption that Bronze Age power meant Bronze Age armies, needs a second look. How many other first empires were softened into military conquest because peaceful dominance didn't fit the narrative historians needed? How many walls we assume protected against armies actually protected against nothing at all, because nothing was ever coming? So what actually sank the Minoans if it wasn't a rival fleet? Nobody agrees. An eruption, a tsunami, an earthquake, an invasion that arrived only after they were already crippled. Take your pick. But ask yourself this: if a civilization can rule the sea for 4 centuries without a single warship, what does that tell you about who's really writing the rules of power then and now?